1890s that they would have played somebody in Ohio at some point.
Probably after they got done playing Maryville College, they would have gone to Baldwin Wallace and played or something like that.
Something like back when they played 5 games in 9 days, and that was the football season. I would have figured at some point they would have gone to Ohio, but they did not. So this will be the first time they are playing in the Buckeye State.
And it's not a difficult trip going to Ohio. You just go up 75 towards Cincinnati, and you're there.
Yeah, you go through Kentucky and blank. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then you're across.
You said it much better than I did.
Okay. I think I can say that because I hold no love for the state of Kentucky, so I can say these things.
I noticed that.
But we talked about this. We Big Ten teams in the position to host in the CFP. What is that going to mean weather-wise? So I went and looked, guys. The 8-day forecast, 8 days out from now. For Columbus, Ohio, next Saturday, the high is projected to be 26 degrees with a snow shower expected.
What time is the game?
The game's at 8 o'clock. When game time kickoff is supposed to 19 degrees at kickoff.
Oh, my gosh. And you probably, if it's any type of rain or moisture, it's going to be kind of sleet.
Yes, they're calling for snow.
So they're giving Ohio State all the advantages right now.
Well, the weather forecast for Knoxville, the high is 38, but the game time temperature for kickoff is supposed to be 31.
Yeah.
But it's also supposed to be sunny.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, it's the weather. Who knows what will happen between now and then. But it sounds – I thought at first, well, Mike was right.
Yeah.
Big Ten advantage. They're going to be at home. It's going to be cold. It might be snowing. It's going to be dark. And then I started thinking about what do you need to win in a game like that, where might not be able to see all the field. The field might go white on you because of the snow. Well, you need defense.
Need defense?
You do.
You need a running game.
Defense and a good running game.
Right.
So is Tennessee the better Big Ten team in this matchup?
Could be.
Because they have a defense.
Yeah.
They have a running game.
Yeah.
And Ohio State's needed some big plays from the quarterback to bail them out this year. I'm not sure that Tennessee's not better equipped to win in the cold and snow than Ohio State is.
Well, you're right. It just depends on how the guys are able to adapt to the weather. Because that's a lot of those Tennessee guys, they're Southern guys, going up to Ohio. And that's based on experience because in years I've been at places that we've gone in the national playoffs at either at Division II, Division III, 1AA schools, going up north and playing that type of weather, and getting a lot of guys, Southern boys, going up there. That's a big adjustment for them. So what you got to do is kind of prepare them as much as you can at Tennessee during their practice. Turn that air conditioning off in that indoor facility, or go outside more, and have the practices in the colder weather and all that. And, that helps prepare them for it.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those situations where if the forecasters are right, starting today, both areas are riding a 50s, 40s, but the bottom drops out Friday night and we have a cold Saturday. Yeah. So nobody's going to be practicing in minus
I mean, if I was Tennessee, I would have a couple of night practices at 8 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, yeah, you better believe it.
All right, outside. All right, so that helps them adjust to that type of weather.
Sure.
They could probably go up to over Gatlinburg and borrow some of those snow machines and put them at the top of the stadium and have. I mean, they could go all out, pipe in the music, and have a real workout there.
Yeah,
get ready for it.
But I'm serious. I mean, they need to prepare themselves for that environment, and so I really think they should have some 8 o'clock. Don't have practice at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon because that's not the environment you're going to be in.
No, that's not game time simulation right there.
And they like practicing in that indoor facility. Get them outside.
That's not a bad idea. That's actually a pretty good idea. I hope somebody at UT is listening and taking notes because of the fountain of information we are producing here this morning on preparation.
It's just overwhelming right now.
So we're 2 weeks removed now from Ohio State's last game with Michigan. I gotta ask, after everything that we have seen from the last 2 weeks since the flag gate, whatever we want to call it, is playing in the shoe actually a benefit for Ohio State? Because their fans do not seem to be in love with this team right now. They seem rather agitated with Ohio State and the coach in particular.
Well, at Michigan, I mean, forget the overall record. It's all about. I mean, Ohio State. It's all about being Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget the name of the head coach after Woody Hayes, but he eventually lost his job because he had a great overall record, but he was like 2-8 against Michigan, and I think he had won maybe 75% of his games. But after the last loss against Michigan, he's fired. So the importance of beating Michigan is critical, and they haven't done it, especially at home. And the melee that happened afterwards and all that. I mean, so it's kind of hard, to overcome that right now. The way to overcome it is having a great game against Tennessee and possibly win the national championship. But you can still be national champions. But then they'll say, but you still can't beat Michigan.
But you still lost to Michigan.
That's the way it is.
Because I can remember, and I won't call the particular team out, but they lost a particular rivalry game, went on to win the state championship that year. And when they came back to the locker rooms Saturday after the championship game, there was a sign hanging in the locker room, "Congratulations to the second best team in Blount County." So if
possibly done that.
If Ohio State Ohio State, let's say hypothetically, runs the table, wins the national championship, do they come home to a sign that says, "Welcome home to the second best team in the Big Ten"?
That's a distinct possibility.
I mean, because this is a rivalry that.
And by the way, when you're out there playing your game, we snuck in and put the flag at the 50-yard line.
Yeah, I will give credit. There have been some real creative memes that have popped up this week with Tennessee flag being planted and the route for the goalpost to take to the river out of the shoe. I think Tennessee fan base is very excited about this game.
Yes, they are.
Although there's going to be few of them as far as that goes.
Yes.
Yep, and
3,500 tickets and only about 1,000 available to the general public.
And really? They've actually Ohio State has actually issued a statement encouraging their fans not to sell their tickets to Tennessee fans. To keep the advantage. But like I said, I'm not sure there's advantage. If I'm the AD after seeing what the crowd's reaction in the Michigan game, I might be calling some people say, y'all don't really, if you're not really wanting to come, I've got some connections in Knoxville. We can get you some good money.
Yeah, good prices for you. Yeah, absolutely.
So, we've seen Ohio State kind of bail themselves out with Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith making some big connections to win some games for them. How different, Tony? You've been in those type of conditions. If Ohio State ends up wearing white jerseys, how is that going to play out for them trying to have a passing game in the snow?
Yeah, it all kind of blends. It's the thing is that Ohio State's going to be used to going in that type of weather. All right, and so being in those type of uniforms, especially in the white with the snow, they're going to work on on the correct routes, on getting the ball to the wide receivers. And but I just think that's going to be a big advantage for them to be at home.
I think it will. And I'm also on that bandwagon that maybe this wasn't the best bracket that could have been delivered.
Because then don't they play Oregon?
Yeah, the winner will play.
The winner plays Oregon.
The winner plays Oregon in the Rose Bowl on January 1.
Don't have to worry about snow there.
But, well, I would hope not.
Yeah.
Might have to worry about mudslides.
Mudslides and fires.
Earthquakes.
When you look at the way this breaks out, did the Vols get the worst bracket? Go on the road to Ohio State, and then if you win, play Oregon?
On the road, yeah.
It's not ideal.
No, it is not.
Because, when this thing came out, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, saying Tennessee had to travel, I'm not sold on that ranking that Tennessee was in the bottom part of the bracket that needed to travel. But if your options are going to Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, or Notre Dame, I'm not sure Ohio State's the best choice to put where to send Tennessee. And when you're matching them up, Boise State gets the bye and gets SMU or Penn State. That bracket seemed
that's a good deal.
The 3 teams in that bracket seem like they could lose to any of the other 9 teams.
Right.
And then you have Georgia getting Notre Dame and Indiana in that little triangle over there.
That's kind of a good bracket for Georgia to
It's
be
a
in.
good. If you're Georgia, I'm thinking you're pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I would think so.
And then if you're Texas, okay, you didn't get a bye because you lost the SEC championship game, but you're going to start off hosting Clemson, and then if you win, you go to play Arizona State.
Yeah.
That sounds like you're past to the semifinal right there.
Kind of weak.
Yeah, I was hoping that Tennessee, even though the prediction was going to Ohio State, I thought that they would hopefully got a different type of bracket, because you're right, that the bracket they're in, it's 3 pretty stout teams right there.
When we originally, you were thinking at this, if you're the number 5, you've got, you're playing in the first round, but you're going to get the weakest team as your opponent. You're going to get them at home, and then you're going to play the weakest of the 4 automatic buys.
Yeah.
But looking at this, I think it was actually went down to Texas. You got Texas, but that Notre Dame, I'm like, the 5 or the 6 was pretty good.
Sure. And sometimes you just don't know what these guys are thinking in these committees. They lock themselves in a room, and you guys kind of scratch your head and saying, are they looking at the same thing that we're looking at? And you just got to wonder. And like I said, what kind of screwed everything up was Clemson winning their game, because that kind of started to put some things in disarray. Kind of them winning, forced Alabama not to be in it. SMU kind of edged getting in there, and they ended up not counting the type of schedule Alabama was playing. So that was to me the big controversy.
And
with
that was
Alabama
the next question: is if you're giving a grade to the CFP, what grade do you give this first bracket? Do they pass? Do they fail? Do they get an A?
All together?
Yeah, for this bracket, what is this CFP, this first CFP system on the 12-team format get?
I give them a C-. I just don't like them not choosing Alabama because strength of schedule was not therefore the factor. When you look at so the thoughts now after that is, well, instead of Alabama, all right, they got scheduled to try to play some teams from the Big Ten in the future, good, strong teams. Why play them? Go ahead and find your Northeast Louisiana or your Arkansas State and fill them in, because evidently, according to the committee, that's not the outstanding factor in deciding whether you're going to be in the playoffs or not. It's your overall record, and so that's to me, that's what the big controversy is out of there.
Donnie, what grade do you give him?
Tony, you pretty much nailed it. I'm going to give him either a C- or a D+. They're certainly the selections were certainly below average, in my opinion.
All right.
What do you say?
I have a split grade.
Okay.
You know how your professor would give you 2 grades,
Oh, yeah.
one for your idea and the other for your grammar.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Tony,
right. I know what the
Tony
grammar
always had good ideas, but his grammar was. So, I'm gonna give them a B- on what they produced under the rules they were given. I'm gonna give the rules they were given a D. The rules they were given were abysmal.
Argue with that.
Yeah.
Because we have proof positive that the conference championship games are an issue that have to be fixed.
Yes.
There's going to have to be a substitute, or they're going to have to be incorporated in some way, because guaranteeing teams that if you make the championship game, you can get in. If you're in the
Right.
Power Four,
Right.
lock them into some things, because they basically made a commitment to SMU, and when SMU lost, they went with that over taking a quality team.
Correct. Yep, totally agree.
And I would say that they also need the basketball rule, and I've been an advocate of that from the beginning, which is in the NCAA tournament, the committee is allowed to bump the actual seed by 2 places for outstanding circumstances, which is to avoid conference rematches, to avoid problems with games that were just played in the last few days and things along that nature. And we've seen that make great television in the NCAA basketball tournament.
Correct.
So I think the football committee needs that same leeway, because this thing only works if ESPN's willing to pay for it.
Sure.
So do you think just real quickly here, do you think conference championships are unnecessary now?
At this point, if your conference is not willing to eliminate one of their top 2 teams in the first round, you don't need them.
Yeah.
You need a substitute. You need a you need a regular season conference champion with a bye, and then maybe you have a play-in game where your 3 and 4s play, and whoever that winner is treated like a first-round game. They need something. The conferences aren't going to give them up because they can't afford to lose the money.
Too much money. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
but
that's true.
They also can't afford to start eliminate, because we look at it from the SEC perspective, but Georgia and Texas still got in. But if you're the Big 12, you're looking at it in terms of we're eliminating one of our best 2 teams every year, so that we're never going to get 2.
Nope.
If you're the ACC, you're going, whew.
Yeah.
SMU got in. But I mean, if that championship game had been, say, Clemson playing Miami to be the ACC second bid, that would have been a much better game.
Yeah.
If you'd just given SMU the regular season title and let Clemson and Miami play, people would have watched that.
Sure.
That would have gotten as much interest as these CFP games are going to get.
Easily. Well, it's they got to figure out how to get this thing fixed, and it's like I said, the big outcry is, if strength of schedule does not mean anything, then why in your non-conference games, why is a school like Alabama, why they're trying to find a top quality like a USC or a Michigan or someone like that, and play them during the non-conference games. They need to just go back and just play those weaklings like Tennessee did. Playing.
Well, I mean, Tennessee did what it was supposed to do. They scheduled NC State, which was supposed to be a top 25 team.
Yep.
Next year they've got another ACC team on there next year.
Yep.
And next year's schedule.
But at the same time, they play Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Kent State.
But your issue is going to be that if this is the way it's going to be and strength of schedule doesn't matter, you're putting temptation into the hands, especially with the SEC, where right now the schedules are being set right now.
Yeah.
It just came out last week what next year's schedule will be and what your conference rotation is. You're putting that temptation that, Tennessee's supposed to have a good year. A year from now, they're going to things look good.
No.
Maybe we don't put them up against Georgia and Alabama next year. Maybe we give them Mississippi State
and Vandy, of course, is always there.
Maybe we give them Mississippi State and Kentucky instead. You're putting temptation into those commissioners' hands to favor the teams they think, to make sure they have enough teams eligible to play. And Donnie's saying we need a break. Do you think we need a break, Tony?
Well, when he starts doing this and starts rolling the wrist,
starts wringing my hands.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a pretty strong hit.
Well, see, I don't do it when he does this number with the. I wait till he starts rubbing his hands together. But our parade check is the crowds are beginning to gather. We're beginning to see the chairs are coming out, and we're starting to see small children gather and playing. So it's parade time is quickly approaching from the outside view. But we're going to take a quick break here and take a timeout, and we'll return. We're going to check in with Donnie for some scores, and we'll be marking it down with the start of the Sportsmanship Awards presentations. You're listening to the Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities.
Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
All right, we're back with the sports page, and Marcus has stepped away to greet some guests right over there for just a minute, but he'll be back shortly.
Won't be too far from us. There he goes.
He
Boy,
never is,
He just
Tony.
sprinted.
He just popped right
Holy
in.
smokes.
So, yeah, let me go ahead and start here on the Mandy B Street Realty local scoreboard, brought to you by our friends at Mandy B Street Realty. Prep hoops action last night. We had several games in the area, and some that were not so close around in the area. But we'll start out with our scores here that we have for you today. Eagleton went to Eagleton hosted Gatlinburg Pittman last night, and on the girls contest, Gatlinburg Pittman won 74-19 against Eagleton. That's a pretty good.
8th grade.
That's a pretty good discrepancy in points right there, isn't it, Marcus?
I think it is. Which game are we talking about?
We're talking about GP at Eagleton.
Oh, well.
74-19.
You know, on the girls' game, is that what we're talking about?
Yes, girls' game.
Yeah, you're looking at a program that, you know, is going, that district we know is GP and Alcoa.
Yes.
Even at this point, you can look at it and say that's what it's likely to come down to. And you have an Eagleton squad that is still growing, only their second year. And they can play with some teams, but you're talking about a GP team that's shooting for the state tournament year after year. That's a tough ask.
Indeed it is. And the boys contest, Eagleton brought a win home last night, 48-41 over Gatlinburg Pittman. Gatlinburg Pittman had to leave with a loss. So 48-41 Eagleton.
And that's
a big win.
Congratulations to Scott West on that.
Yeah.
That's a
Nice
big win in that district for them. That's that's a seed right there in the tournament. That's probably what that game gives them. Is a number up.
Yep, sure should. Greenback traveled to Rockwood last night and was unsuccessful in both games. In the girls' game, Rockwood wins out over the Lady Cherokees 50-28, and Rockwood Tigers boys were victorious last night 45-23.
23 points.
You can't say too much about that, can you? You got to put the ball in the.
It's a tough season. It's a tough season at Greenback.
It is, yeah, it is. Heritage went to South Doyle last night and came home with double victories right there in the girls' contest.
And big ones too, because that's a district game now.
Yeah, it is.
That's big for them to get the Tri-County Crossroads win.
Sure.
Before you have to start playing some of the teams south of you.
Girls' game wasn't really even close, 72-53 in favor of the Lady Mountaineers. Boys' game was quite a bit closer. It came down to 7 points. Heritage wins this one, though, 75-68.
And, you know, we had both of the teams in here last week visiting with us, and I think you could, if you watch those videos and hear what the players were saying, they're doing things the way they need to do them. And both programs are in different places, respectively, but they are doing what they need to do at this point in the season.
Cool.
Is Heritage's coach able to come back now? The coach, he just had shoulder surgery.
Well, Rick is on the road to recovery. Last I heard. I don't think he's. I'm not sure he's released to be on the sideline yet.
Yeah. Coming off shoulder replacement surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be strapped in
Well,
here.
the physical therapist has to get him where he can get the folding chair all the way up and over and onto the court.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. We've got guests here who might be offended by that.
They're already shaking their heads.
Oh, goodness. William Blount traveled to Northview Academy last night and was not successful. Govs are struggling this year too, as well, aren't they, Marcus?
Well,
both programs. We
haven't had a chance to really visit with them yet this season on the show, but we do know from having them here last year that when you graduate that many seniors, you're going, especially when two of them are your 1 and 2 all-time leading scorers in program history, there's going to be some rebuilding that happens after that for the boys. And then for the girls, you've got a new coach with not a completely new system, but a new coach taking over the program and trying to build them back up in a very tough district.
You're right. But the scores in that game in the girls' contest was Northview 82, William Blount 49. And in the boys' contest later on, 73 to 47 in favor of Northview as well. So quite hefty victories.
Tough night for them.
Yeah, for both Northview teams. With the Turnkey Hardwood Classic at Webb School of Knoxville's going on. Alcoa girls played Hamilton Heights last night. Hamilton Heights, is that Chattanooga?
Chattanooga.
That's what I would think, yeah. Chattanooga. And Lady T's came out on top, 61 to 57. And also the Alcoa boys won last night. They played Buckhorn, Alabama.
Powerhouse team down there.
Good.
That's
it was a test for the T's. But Alcoa wins 69 to 65.
And they're just now. I'm not even sure they're getting full minutes yet, but they're just now getting the football players back into the rotation. Because they just got to the court for the first time on Monday, with 4 or 5 players,
Eli
and 2 of them being starters. Well, Jameer Dean, Eli Graff. You've got a lot of their firepower's just gotten back to them.
So they'll get nothing but better.
You would hope.
Yeah, that's what we would think. Another score from the Turnkey Hardwood Classic over at Webb, Maryville boys versus Huntsville, Alabama. And the Rebels got a victory right there, 56 to 51.
Was that home or away? Or?
That was at Webb.
At Webb, at the Buckhorn, the Turnkey Hardwood Classic.
I don't know if they're the Trash Pandas in well, but go Rebels for beating the Trash Pandas.
There we go. You got it. Had a couple of National Letter of Intent signings this week. One, Gabby Burkhart from Alcoa High School, signed with Montreat College for to continue her education and her career in softball.
She's the first.
Congratulations to Gabby.
She's the first. I understand from Coach that there's
think
going to be a
more.
series of Alcoa softball signings in the coming months.
I'd say you're right. And also congratulations to Sarah Flynn of Heritage, signed on a rowing scholarship with the University of Connecticut. So she's going D1.
And she's and so people understand, TriStar Rowing. We've had them here before in past seasons. They are the local rowing team, and the high schools have athletes who are participating with them. It's not a TSSAA sport, but TriStar has done really well. I think she may be the 5th D1 signee for them in the last calendar year. There's opportunities there, and Blount County seems to be have the facilities and program in place to take advantage of that.
Yeah. I was never very good in rowing. I tried it a couple of times. For some reason, the boat would just kind of tilt over and kind of sink a little bit. So it kept me away from the rowing squad. I don't know why. I thought I could give it a little surge every now and then, but no.
So it was dough your boat? No row, just dough?
Just dough, just a lot of dough. We'll finish up our segment with this part of the segment with this article. The Maryville High School girls and the William Blount High School boys each won District 3 bowling tournament championships at Crest Lanes on Thursday. The Lady Rebels outdueled Oak Ridge by a score of 19.5 to 7.5 total points. Maryville High School was paced by senior Riley Tucker, with 331 pins knocked down in 2 rounds. Pretty good score.
And we've had Riley here
We
before,
have, yes.
but not for bowling.
No.
Most people hear her name, they're going to associate her with another sport.
Yep, you're right. The William Blount boys walked away with a 15-5 to 11-5 victory over Carnes for their second consecutive District 3 tourney championship. Both Maryville High School girls and William Blount boys qualify to move on to the Region 2 tournament being played today at Crest Lanes. We wish them both best of luck to both squads.
I'm not sure that part's right, Donnie.
Is it not? Well, that's your newspaper said that.
I think you may have the dates wrong. Because if I remember correctly, the Region 2 tournament's the first week of January. Because bowling takes a 1-month hiatus.
Did I? Oh, you're right. They do. It's January the 14th, not
Yes.
today.
They take a month off in the middle of the postseason.
Yeah, how does that work?
Well, it's better than it used to be, because it used to be they waited 5 weeks between regionals and state. Now they wait 5 weeks between district and regional.
There we go. Yes,
but because of the holiday
January
break
the
in the
14th.
scheduling, because their state tournament happens the end of January.
I don't know why I was thinking it was January.
Yep. It's not today. It's a
No,
month.
it is
It's
a
month
month
from
from
today.
today. On January 14th.
And
But it is at home. It's at Crest Lanes.
But let's say
It's
that
here.
both of those teams had to get through heritage programs.
Yeah.
And I believe it was the Maryville girls had to get past a very tough match with Ceci. I may have that backwards, but all of the local bowling programs were very close and it was a highly contested district tournament that
Sure was.
I would say some of the opponents were lucky to slide into the opposite side of the bracket and get in there against the Blount County teams on the other side.
No doubt. Well, okay, that's going to do it for this part of our Mandy B Street Realty Local Scoreboard segment. I want to tell you, listeners, that you are listening to WKCE 92.5 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. And now I'm going to pass it a short distance to my friend and
You're
co-host.
playing me as friends today? Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his feature, Mark It Down.
I'll put you back on the nice list, Donnie. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Then I'm by myself then, right?
You're out.
We know which list you're on, Tony.
You're out in
And
the
if
cold,
we didn't
Tony.
know,
See how they treat me.
we have the person here to tell us, because we are blessed this morning to once again have timed up the parade and the presentation of the Sportsmanship Awards with the Blount County Football Officials Association. And Jerry Barnes is here with us this morning. To start this part of the show, special presentation here in a minute. But, Jerry, go ahead and introduce who you got with you, because we got a face I don't think I have seen before.
All right, so who we got with us is our new our president retired after 51 years on the field. So David called it a career. It was a great career, David Warwick, and so we had to nominate a new president, and it went with flying colors. And Mike Singh is our new president.
Thank you.
He'll tell you he has big shoes to fill, but I'm 100% certain that he can handle the job.
And Mike will apologize. Donnie was supposed to play Hail to the Chief during that introduction, and I don't think he could find it on the iPad in time.
Well, that's okay. We'll get it next year, maybe.
You got
okay.
it.
So, but,
Well, we're pleased to have you here, and congratulations.
I'm glad to be here.
Jerry, we're going to do a presentation here in a second, but before we do that, I wanted you, it's the Paul Gilley Award for Middle School Sportsmanship. Can you tell the listeners about Paul and how this award came about? Like, what's the significance of it?
Paul Gilley was an official. He officiated basketball too, but he officiated football. Another one, 52 years. So you can imagine the changes in the game a man, of his era had seen. But more importantly, Paul Gilley, a lot of people thought he was a teacher, but he actually worked at the aluminum company. And once he retired, he would go out to Eagleton and he would help with bus duty, and he'd help coach a little bit and things like that. And just a man of high integrity. That anybody that knew him will not say anything bad about him, because there's nothing bad to say about him. And Jay will further, Jay Malone, who's here with us also, he will further expand on that later, I am certain. He's a big fan also of Paul Gilly and what this means. But he would mentor young officials, and a lot of times I know whenever I was coming in, and this is my 23rd year, and with Mr. Gilly, he'd say, I wouldn't have a game on a Friday night. Come stand with me on the sideline and things like that, make you feel part of it, bring you in, and I think Jay and I had a conversation earlier, you always remember how people make you feel, and, he made me feel accepted, and I know I'm not alone in that.
No, absolutely.
But we're, I'll tell the one story I tell every year, like they said when he did bus duty, somebody asked him why. He said, there's a lot of kids that will not hear I love you if I'm not there to tell them. That's all you need to know.
And I also will say the fact that you all and Blount County Football Officials is what I mean by you all do a presentation to honor sportsmanship. That's kind of a unique thing. That's not something you hear about in a lot of places, and I'm glad you all do it. But from the perspective, if you guys hear the worst out of most of the coaches at one point or another during a season, what do you look for in a team to kind of put them in the running for this kind of award?
You can usually tell a team that is successful or is going to be successful if, from the coach's standpoint, if those guys spend their energy coaching and not officiating. You can tell that, and also they're helping to produce good young men, and and we don't just consider the coaches and the administration, the whole package of that, and that's why you'll see if you look on our plaque here. This is our 15th award. You see a lot of that just recycling. And, they have that behind them. And we've got some that are getting there, some new programs. Greenback actually launched a middle school program this year, and they took it on the chin, as any new program would do. But I'm certain, and that community will get behind them, and they'll be just fine. They've got a good coach and a good man, and I'm certain at some point they'll do the same, because he is cut from the same cloth. A lot of these guys, he spends his energy coaching his kids. He's always respectful to us. And coaches like that, if they ask you a question, they probably got a pretty good point. You better really deeply consider that versus the one that's just every play, everything. The ball hadn't been snapped, hold, things like that. And, you can tell they're just trying to work you. But we're blessed in our association, the schools that we work, home games for. We don't have a whole lot of that. So,
No.
Well, I'm not going to keep them in suspense any longer. And we did a terrible job trying to hide who it was on the camera. But I think I think people can recognize from the red M on the video as to what's getting ready to happen. But we'll let you go ahead and do the award presentation here.
okay, I like to read what we put on the plaque every year. So this is the Paul W. Gilly Sportsmanship Award. And you had asked earlier how it came to be. It's after Mr. Gilly had passed, we had already had a high school sportsmanship award, but we decided, we value these middle school schedules and schools just as much, and we need to do the same, and we have got the perfect person to honor in doing that. So it came, it's kind of a symbiotic thing there. So to honor the memory of Paul W. Gilly, a football official for 52 years in the Blount County Football Officials Association. He had a lifetime dedicated to serving the youth of the Eagleton and Blount County communities as an official, coach, mentor, and volunteer. This award goes to the middle school football program that best exhibits the traits of sportsmanship that honor Mr. Gilly's lifetime of service to the youth of Blount County. The 2024 award will go to Maryville Junior High and head coach Jay Malone, and he's also brought one of his players with him.
Well, and there we go. Jay's right here. Congratulations,
Thank
Jay.
you all.
Can we put that in his hand? Let him hold it up for the video. We love trophies on this show. If y'all haven't noticed, we love awards. There you go.
All right.
Congratulations, Coach, and
Thank you.
thanks for joining us this morning.
Indeed.
First off, who'd you bring with you here this morning?
I'm very, very proud of this guy. His name is Gray Livingston. He's an 8th grader on our football team, started on the O-line. Obviously, I know he doesn't look like an 8th grader, and he can have a 5 o'clock shadow sometimes by about 3 o'clock. I tell you, when Jerry contacted me about us receiving this award, and told me I could bring one of my players, it was a no-brainer because, yes, Gray is a good football player. Yes, he works hard in the weight room 3 mornings a week still before school with us, but he's an incredible young man, godly young man of character. And, I was telling Jerry, Mr. Gilly, if I could have introduced him to Gray, I mean, he would have been like so proud because, I mean, like Jerry was talking about, I think my first 10 years as a coach, I thought Mr. Gilly, was a teacher, and I think after about 10 years, I found out that he actually, had worked for, Alcohol Aluminum Company because he was so involved in the lives of kids. And obviously, the Bible in summary is love God and love others, and he showed that, man, to so many people. And Gray here is also one of our FCA leaders, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and he epitomizes the concept of student athlete and character. One of our things that we try to teach our kids is this: we're like, guys, if all you all learn from us is football, we failed you, because there's so much more to it. There's so many more life lessons. And one of the things we put on our shirts, a few years ago, was honor others, develop character, which that involves this sportsmanship, and win. So yeah, we want to win, but if we do those other 2 things first, we're going to probably win more than we lose. But we got to love each other, honor each other, and hopefully develop some character. And we're not going to let our kids show their tail to our officials or to each other. I'm not going to say we're perfect because things happen, but we'll definitely deal with it. So, but yeah, glad to have Gray with us.
Thank you, guys.
Great.
Glad to have you here too, Gray. And Coach, let me ask you, it's not like it's something you can work on in practice. Sportsmanship's not something you can work on in practice.
You're right.
It's building attitude and all the other things that go around a program. But how do you keep that kind of in mind with everything you're doing?
Well, I tell you, my head football coach at Maryville College, of course, Coach Iruli sitting here, we both love this man dearly, and his name was Phil Wilkes. And so Phil Wilkes' father, Coach Wilkes shared this quote with me, talking about you never have to apologize for the absence of vulgarity or profanity, I should say. And so I try to emulate that with my coaches, and I tell them, hey, we need to watch the language. I mean, these guys, they're going to follow our lead. So, I mean, just one small thing, I'm like, okay, so let's flip it, So have you heard us tell you we love you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
A lot of times.
Have you heard us tell each other we love each other?
Yes, sir.
And so we want to model that, man. And we know if we can love on each other, we're going to grow together. And, we're going to be together when it comes down to the 4th quarter, and we're at Corbin, Kentucky, and got a chance to win. But we didn't. But we still loved each other. We lost by 7 in Kentucky.
Donnie, can we write that quote down? I think we might need that next time the FCC calls us.
They don't do that so much now that with our present personnel, but you're right. It is a good.
We'll write it
good
down
saying.
just in case, because you never know who we're going to add in the future. You
You're
never
right.
can tell. But we might need that in line.
Yeah, and I'll keep those quotes too.
We need a shirt for you, Tony. We need to put it on the back.
Yeah. Hey, tell me about your experience being at Maryville Junior High and playing for the last 2-3 years. To me, one of the best programs in the entire state.
Yes, sir. It was really fun. It definitely helped me. The good Lord has blessed me with good coaches like Jay Malone here, Coach Whitehead, Coach T-Rob, Coach Rouse, many more that I don't know the name of at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they just helped me so much to build character, like Coach Malone said. I especially like the running. Yeah, I love the running.
What lineman says that?
Yeah, and lots of running.
Yeah. I like beating all the other linemen.
Okay, now I understand, because I was getting ready to call him out on that one, because no player says they love the running unless they're on the cross-country
Yes, sir.
team.
Exactly.
Yeah. I played basketball before football. So I could run because I had already conditioned with my basketball coach. So I liked showing the linemen I knew how to run because, they didn't like me very much because of that.
So what I'm hearing is we might have an early betting favorite for the Jamboree next year for the Lineman's 40. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm telling you, that's the truth.
He's the guy, and I tell you the one thing I'm always impressed about is your coaching staff over at Maryville. I mean, it's just as good as any of the top high schools in the state of Tennessee. The quality of coaches and the way I've been there to many practices before, just being able to just watch and how they interact and their teaching techniques. And so you're absolutely blessed having the coaching staff that you have at Maryville Junior High.
I've got a good story there on Jay.
Go ahead and share one more, and we'll take a break after.
I know he doesn't remember this, and I think it is either last year or the year before. They were playing maybe Lake Forest.
Okay.
We were going into overtime.
Correct.
And they called me over like, we've not done overtime in years up here. What are the rules? So I pull out my overtime cheat card and read it all off to them, right? Good ball game. They wound up on the short end of that. I mean, that was a really good football team. Jay will tell you that. But the next day, my phone rings. I see it's Jay Malone. Oh, man, here it goes. I'm going to get chewed out for something.
Jay.
First thing he says is, man, wasn't that a great ball game yesterday? See, so he didn't dwell on the wins or losses, just what a great game it was, and being blessed with the ability to compete at a high level with another school like that. I mean,
well, he was easing you into this discussion.
He was working me. Is that what you're saying? No, there's only one guy at this table I know that will try to work somebody.
I don't know.
How do I win the sports?
You're talking to him right
any
now.
Qualifications or anything?
I
can't get that award.
Well, the thing is, they don't see you at Carson Newman now, Tony. They just know you from your days down here. So they have no idea of the reformation of Iruli that's taking place.
I mean, all I know is I still got 200 years in purgatory. So I mean, I'm just trying to knock them out a little bit.
Well, that's down 50 from where you were.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Hey, if I may say this, I appreciate so much the kind words and the encouragement. But I'll go ahead and tell you that, as you know, you've been there. The head coach many times gets way too much credit, and I give so much credit to my coaches, and I tell them every year. I said, y'all really make me look good, because they are not only great football coaches, and all of us have either coached high school, college, and/or both. I think everybody on my staff even played college football, other than maybe my son-in-law. He didn't. And so, there's a lot of football knowledge there that is as good or better than a lot of high school staffs. And I don't say that to brag. I say that I'm blessed. And I tell them, I say, guys, I mean, man, y'all do a fine job. But they love each other, and they love kids. They love the Lord, and I got to give all those coaches credit. They do an amazing job.
And that's what I mean. There's been a lot of times I've come from one of your practices. I walk the field, I say, "Wow." I mean, this is not a typical junior high coaching staff.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it's a top quality coaching staff, and I just feel really great whenever I get an opportunity to come on by and watch all.
You're always welcome.
Well,
we love seeing you.
See, they let me go there.
Coach, we're going to have to head into break just a second here. But one thing while we got you here, what does the league look like now? Because middle school shifts much quicker than TSSAA does. What is Maryville Junior High's that league you all play in look like now as far as your region?
Yeah. Okay. So we had a conference meeting. I guess it was it was last month, because we're now in December. So we had our conference meeting, and it's called the East Tennessee Football Conference. And what's so unique about it is there's several teams, and you can jump in, Gray, if I forget one. Of course, in that league, you've got us, you've got William Blount, you've got Heritage, you've got Sevier County, you've got Northview Academy that's up in Sevierville. Then if you go down towards Cleveland, like Jerry said, you got Lake Forest. They feed Bradley Central High School. Who did I leave out, Gray? I feel like I left somebody out. Our two non-conference games that really challenge us every year as well. Of course, we play Alcoa. We'll always play Alcoa. And then we pick up Corbin, Kentucky. And what's unique, I got to say this that people don't realize. So if anybody from TSSAA is listening, I hope you hear me. We hope someday to have a state championship like Kentucky. They have had a middle school state championship game for both 7th grade and 8th grade for like probably 7 or 8 years, maybe more. My point is, Corbin, Kentucky has won that probably 6 out of the last 9 times. Well, they won it again this year. We lost to Corbin, like I said earlier, by a touchdown, and every year we've played Corbin, it's been an 8-point game or less other than one time. And so we want to keep trying to challenge ourselves with good programs like that. And I just hope someday, we can have middle school state titles, Marcus, but our conference is 8 teams, and everybody picks up a couple of non-conference games. We do the top 4 advance to a playoff where the 1 plays the 4, the 2 plays the 3, and then the 2 winners from that game play for the championship. We were fortunate to win the championship this year and finish 10-1. And but yeah, that's the East Tennessee Football Conference in a nutshell.
All right, well, and we appreciate you coming in. Congratulations again. Jerry, we're going to ask you all to stay right here because we're going to do another presentation here after the break. But it's time to turn the page, and we'll be announcing the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week in a special segment. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, B.F. Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
And we're back. Thanks for joining us back. We're here at Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. We're finishing up doing kind of transition, Donnie. We're getting one award winner out and another one coming in. And
We are in transition, but we've done that before, so it's nothing new for us.
Nothing unusual. We are still waiting to start, well, not the start of the Christmas parade, but we are waiting for it to make its turn up at the corner and start coming down Broadway to join us here. And the crowd is getting thick.
They are.
The sidewalks are filling up. And
Indeed.
The signs are out on Bluetick's doors. If for those of you people who have been pulling on them recently, the side door is open for people coming in for lunch to eat, but not so much for people just trying to graze through, maybe find the back hallway and slip in for a quick rest. Those doors are actually closed at the moment, so if you're headed this way, you might want to stop at Weigel's on the way and take your rest there before you get to downtown. But we're going to continue with the Sportsmanship Awards. I'm filling in for Mike Edwards. This is Marcus Fitzsimmons. And along with the rest of our broadcast crew, it's time for the Sports Page Player of the Week segment sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority. Proudly serving Blount County for over 75 years. And we're going to be rejoined this morning by Jerry Barnes. And we're going to continue the presentation of the Sportsmanship Awards. We just saw Maryville Junior High School pick up the middle school award. But we have another one to. Jerry has another one to present for high schools, and that's the Herman Ramsey Award for high school sportsmanship. So, Jerry, welcome back, and give us a little bit of what this award is, and who Herman Ramsey was, and how long it's been around. Give us the listeners the background on this one.
Herman Ramsey was also, I don't know how many years he officiated TSSAA football, but he also did basketball and did basketball at a high level, SEC level, Rupp Arena and things like that. I mean, very high-level basketball official. I did not know him personally, but I knew his two daughters, and I tell you what, he raised two fine young ladies. And highly thought of by the veterans in our group. Many stories. Sometimes they're not good for tender ears to hear, but each and every story, though, at its core was he was going to work the ball game, he was in charge, and he was going to have fun. And also back in the day, whenever we used to not wear the black pants, wear the knickers, or they gave you the option if everybody wear black shorts, they could do that, and he would wear black shorts and short sleeves all the way through the playoffs, much to the chagrin of some of the other officials.
Oh, it's the Coach Gossett of officiating.
He was unique, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So we know we don't have unfortunately we don't have the coach here this morning.
Correct.
But I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked with the middle school. When you're dealing with high school teams and trying to find that team, I mean, what kind of pops out to you from that team besides just the way they carry themselves?
Well, it's a lot the same in that once again is our relationship with the coach. Are they wanting something every play for the snap, hold this, that, and the other, and are they coaching the kids, or are they trying to officiate the game? Is a big part of it. And high school, is a little more intense than middle school sometimes. And then, as an official, you always have to remind yourself, this is how these guys feed their families, so they're under a lot of pressure. So, you have to extend a little bit of grace as long as it never gets personal. A lot of stuff's in the moment, and then you'll wind up seeing them Monday at the JV game like, hey, man, I'm sorry, Friday, I just got out of line, So you let that kind of slide. But just like the middle school, we're blessed with really good coaches and programs and administration around here that will go above and beyond to make sure we're not abused so much. Now, sometimes what happens outside the fence, you can't – it is a free country, and people can say what they're going to say, but a lot of times that too shall come to pass. A lot of times things happen in a moment. As an official, you can get aggravated. That happens. I've been that way too, and then 2 days later I'm just laughing about it. Like, why did I let that bother me? But wins and losses do not factor into this award at all, because you can still be doing the right things, and your program is just at a place where maybe you're not going to win a lot of games, but you can see that it's coming because these guys are handling their team in the right way. They know how to communicate with us as officials in order to get relevant information so that their team performs better. And, gosh, I had some coaches on sidelines. I said, that guy made a great football official, because it's not that they were never wrong, but they would see things. I have to say, Coach Quarles one time, I saw him, we were doing signals, and they only had 5 men on the line, and before we could throw the flag, he had read the official signal and called for a timeout. And, I mean, he'd made a great football official. And I do think for a young man, if they would start officiating before they started coaching, you see the game from that angle, it'd make them better. But getting back to that, I mean, we just how do they treat their own players? Maybe not necessarily how they treat us. Are they just yelling at the kids, because if every play is the most important play of your life, then none of them are that important, right? There's pick your moments when you elevate your voice or try to stress the importance of things. And we've got good guys, we really do, and that's what makes this award. It makes it hard to pick each year, and I think Mike here would probably agree with that. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was going to just throw a short plug out there on it's a nationwide problem of shortage of officials, and we could use officials, and like Jerry said, what 20-something years, and this will be my 30th year coming up, and I'm probably middle of the pack. But we cover service some really good schools. I'm looking at the list here from last year or next year. Maryville, Alcoa, William Blount, Heritage, Lenoir City, Loudoun County, the new Greenback guys, William Blount High School, Heritage. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. That's some dadgum good football right there, especially when some of these teams go to head-to-head, like a Maryville Alcoa, a William Blount Heritage game, a Lenoir City, a Loudoun County game. Those are big-time football games, and we're privileged, or I am, to get to call one of those. That's big-time good football right there, and that's what our association. That's who we service, and if you're interested in getting into officiating, we've got a website, Blount County Football Officials Association. Please go look at that. There's a place where you can contact us, and we'll get you started. And
doesn't cost you anything to come out to scrimmage and try it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not for you, but maybe it is for you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and we got enough guys, and we got a great group of guys. And I know some of the guys that came out last year did what Jerry said. I don't know, maybe some of the guys pitched in, let them borrow a shirt or a hat or something, so they wouldn't have to. It's not that much up cost anyway, but just to see. And some of the guys clicked, and man, next thing you know, they're online ordering their stuff, and they're going to make some real good officials. We've got some young officials coming up. They're going to be really, really good.
And just like Mike says, something I always tell these young officials, and I've never had one tell me I was wrong. Once you start officiating, you'll never watch a football game the same way the rest of your life. You never will.
I watch the officials. I mean, I watch a lot of football, but I watch the officials.
Right.
Anyway, again, thanks for having me here, and I'm honored with my new position. Big shoes to fill. David Warwick was super guy, super official. One thing about officiating with David, you were guaranteed you were going to have a good ball game. We're going to work a hard ball game. We're going to have fun doing it, and that's kind of my philosophy too as we go on here.
How are y'all doing with your numbers right now with your officiating crews?
We're okay. We could use probably 6 or 8 more.
Yeah.
But we're okay right now. We're borderline. I've been looking at next year's schedule right here. We have some weeks that are pretty heavy as far as a lot of games.
Right.
And we're fortunate. Something I did leave out. A lot of our schools that we serve, all of our schools that we service, except for Eagleton, and I'm not knocking Eagleton by no means, run a 7-man crew, and I think they get a better job of officiating from that because I know you don't have as many responsibilities in a 7-man crew as you do in a 5-man crew, which is their basic.
Is that what Eagleton?
Eagleton runs 5 right now. I look for them to go to 7 because they're just getting on their feet, and they've got Coach Childs out there, outstanding group of people out there. And I love going out there. They're good people, and they're going to be a good football team. I think they made it to the first round.
They did. They did. They did a nice job over there.
They did it, and they're just going to get better too.
Right.
So,
and also something that's on the horizon. Loudoun County is going to be building an additional high school to be open in 2027.
Oh, really?
So we do all the schools down there, so stands to reason we're probably going to wind up servicing them too. So we need,
where's that going to be located at?
If you go down 321 and you're headed toward 75, when you crop the hill where Burger King, it's out next to Lenoir City First Baptist.
Really?
They sold the county the land to build the school out there.
I'll be darned.
Okay.
Well, guys, you kind of touched on one of the things I wanted to ask you about, but before we do that, can we go ahead and announce the winner and let y'all brag on them a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So the 2025 or 2024 rather, I'm ahead of myself again. Winner of the Herman Ramsey Sportsmanship Award for the high schools is Greenback High School. I'd said earlier that records don't play into this, and they don't. They didn't. And they had a tough deal this year, and they had a coaching change in the middle. And those kids played to the last play of the game. You never saw any quit in them after that. Right. So I'm going to tell you, in the next 2 or 3 years, and they're young down there, they're going to be very good.
Yes, they'll be back.
They're going to be. The next year they have the new stadium. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. They're going to new stadium, turf. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Same location. I think it's going to be moved up the hill about 30 yards to get it away from the field house a little bit. So those folks down there, they take a lot of pride in that school and that community as well. They should. And
have they stabilized on their head coach now, or
Last I heard, I'd asked somebody about this week, and Jessica Spafford, the AD, is still, and I'm sure that at the county level they're still interviewing for that.
Yep.
So, I'm not going to mention. I've heard one name, and I hope that happens because I don't want to jinx anything. But a 1A ball, that's a top 1A school.
Sure. Absolutely.
In the state, really,
Sure
job. So I'm certain they've got candidates out there that would love to have it. I heard about Catholic getting Coach Bradley come back to East Tennessee.
That's fantastic.
So
and I guess you kind of mentioned on it, but I just want to say this kind of straight out. When you're having the kind of a tough season that Greenback had, I'm more impressed that they impressed you guys to win this award, because when you have that kind of frustration internally, where everything you thought was going to happen has gone 180 degrees the wrong way, it's a lot easier to vent that frustration at the guy in front of you blowing a whistle or throwing a flag than it is to put it where it might belong.
Correct.
Or take it out on the other team. Your aggression, your
but
anger.
you're saying they
did not do that.
And that takes a lot of character.
Yes, it did.
Um, I also wanted to ask you all. So let's say congratulations to Greenback on winning the award, and
Well deserved.
I wish they could have been here to accept it,
Sure.
but I'm sure you all will take care of making sure that the Ramsey Award gets where it needs to be.
Yeah, we'll go down to the basketball game at halftime. Myself and I'll get Mike to go down with me, and we'll give it to them there.
Good.
So make sure they get it, and make sure they get the accolades.
And you mentioned this, but I think anybody that saw the Blue Cross Bowl broadcast this year, they were filled with commercials for helping. We need officials.
Yeah.
And I wanted to explain to people that you all do such a good job and do such a good job recruiting that fans here may be a little spoiled unless they go to a couple of away games to realize that you guys can staff the games. You guys are working the games and working them at a high level, and that is not the case. That's not a given across the state.
Correct.
So there are places that need officials, and I know that there are places that are asking for you guys to come step in and help a lot. And you mentioned that you're open to getting new people on board.
Sir.
But you all it's not like they fall off the tree and you throw them on the field. There's a whole process to this.
There
so
is.
What's the method to the madness for somebody who's interested?
So we get them. So I'm also the scrimmage coordinator, so I'll get their contact information. We'll get them to a spring scrimmage, and we'll put them with a veteran official. They'll stand right there with them, and the official explains what they're looking at, what their keys are every play, and if they had a flag or something, explain what it was, what constituted that. Was that a pass interference? Was that grab and restrict or something like that? And once that individual starts feeling comfortable, then the official will step behind them and let them call play or two. It's a scrimmage environment. They're not going to get chewed out for anything like that, and our guys, just like we said earlier, Kenny Coulter, our supervisor, if he ever found out a veteran official wasn't helping a young official, they won't be an official very much longer. And everybody here that knows him knows that's to be the truth. But our guys are so willing to help, and I love working with the younger guys, and I'm blessed with that with the scrimmage coordination, because those young guys that come in, and once they get the bug, man, they just reignite my fire. I've told many of them, said, man, I'm so jealous of you. I wished I'd have started as young as you are. I started in my mid-30s. I wasted 10 years. I could have been doing that, and I wish, that I could be in their place, and they usually get bright-eyed about things like that. But it's the truth, and these guys, and they've come back, like I said earlier, you're exactly right. I've been watching the officials at the game now. I see this game in a whole different light, from just sitting in the stands.
And I like it, because a lot of times you bring those young officials up to Carson Newman for our scrimmages and practices in the spring and in the fall. And they're usually doubled up with a veteran official right there. And getting that experience, I think, is really great for them.
Right, and then and now being on the staff of that, so I'm on the other side. So when it's over, we get together and talk about the prospects, and then they turn in. So it works the same at the D2 level as it does at the high school level, But, man, we've got some fine young guys out there, and love working with every one of them. And, talking about schools that we've gone over to help, my gosh, we've gone over and done games at Red Boiling Springs, Livingston Academy, York Institute, Clay County, DeKalb, Gordonsville, Warren County on a Friday night. Yeah.
That's some good football out there, too.
Yeah, it's fun.
Sure.
And I saw something this year that, and maybe it's done it in the past and haven't publicized it, but this year they did publicize the fact that when they released football schedules for next year's high school schedules under the new classification system, TSSA flat out said that they consulted with all the official associations across the state and that the schedule for Thursday, Friday games was managed so that each game could be staffed if it was not moved. I've never seen them say that before.
Well, they've kind of been doing it. They probably didn't say it before, but a lot on Thursdays, and they try to spread that around, because you have to wonder, does that hurt the school's gate, be on a Thursday? Next day's a school day, so maybe, aunts and uncles, extended family don't want to attend that. They got to go to work the next day or something. And
Certainly something to consider.
Right, and so if that is the case, if you spread it around, then it's equitable, right?
Sure.
Equal amongst everyone, as it should be.
And it sounds like we're going to be doing the last week of the season with certain classifications playing on Thursday night to guarantee that season finales are covered across the state.
Correct. Yeah, I've seen that when we were looking at our 25 schedule, and it seems like it's about half and half, half Thursday and half Friday.
So, I think the need is there, but again, you all do such a good job. Unless you go out and can see some of the disparity, and I don't want to call any other group out, but you're not guaranteed to always come away feeling like it came out even.
Right.
And but you guys do.
Well,
you get that feeling that you may not agree with one call, but by the end of the game, you're coming away saying, you know what, they got it right more than they got it wrong.
Right.
And I have some questions about if I have a question about a call I may have made. There's an app out there, and I will go to that app the next day and go through those playlists until I get to that play and watch what I did. And I've missed a couple, but most of them were right. Whether it's all about point of view, really. It's just like if you watch a baseball game, a bang bang play at first base, the angle makes all the difference in the world.
And see, that's the difference. Is I have met officials over the course of my career who have never made a mistake. So the fact that you all can share with that and not be like, oh no, we're
I'm not perfect.
The fact that we're looking it up and trying to get better all the time and willing to share that with people is kind of the example that why you all are good at what you do.
We look at plays when we have our local association meetings. We'll pull them up. We'll talk about them. If you're afraid to miss a call, you better never start officiating because you're going to miss them. There's no doubt. You just want to minimize that. You're going to make a mistake. Don't make that same mistake the next time. Just gradual progression. You get better and better. So.
And officiating, we're wearing the headphones now so we can communicate. And if a guy feels like he missed a call, our association, again, this is how I'm going to brag on them again. They'll go back. I'm just going to use Jerry. If Jerry thinks he's missed a call, some guy will come on the radio. So, Jerry, you're good. You're good. Keep your head up. Let's go. Forget about it. We got another play. Just like football or make an error in baseball, whatever. And we pick it up and go. And it's just, like I said, our guys, I love each and every one of them. We got a great stuff.
If you dwell on one, did I make it? Did I miss it? Then you're going to miss the next one because your focal point of attention is not there where it needs to be.
Well, guys, we appreciate you coming in and sharing the presentations, letting us be the host for your presentation.
We appreciate the platform to be able to do that.
And
the kind words too. Thank you,
sir.
We'll don't worry. We'll take it all back at some point during the season.
We're 50-50 is the best we'll ever do.
That's right.
But it is time for break, and when we return, it'll be the Boyd Sports Spotlight. And you're listening to the sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports and the start of the parade.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
And welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in Maryville. And if you're watching us live this morning, you're looking out the start of the parade route coming down, as we just saw Alcoa Maryville Police Department and the JC's Christmas banner, followed by the Blount County Fire Color Guard. And we're expecting the Grand Marshals to be coming by the window here in just a second. But this is Marcus Fitzsimmons and Donnie Moore and Tony Aruli. And Donnie, I understand you've been scouring the internet, newspapers for headlines for gyms this week. What have you got for us?
Well, you know that's the way it always is, Marcus. You know I leave no stone unturned.
Well, that works for this show.
Great, yes.
Yeah, I got you. All right, let's get started with it. Sports headlines for the week brought to you, as always, by Fast Signs. Man, that gets better and better all the time. All right, let's get to it. The 4 Heisman Trophy finalists are in the Big Apple for today's ceremony honoring the, quote, best player in college football, end of quote. The finalists are multi-threat player Travis Hunter of Colorado, Boise State running back Ashton Jaunty, Oregon quarterback Dylan Gabriel, and quarterback Cam Ward of Miami. It is worth mentioning here that the last 3 Heisman Trophy winners were all quarterbacks. The ceremony is scheduled to be broadcast on ESPN this evening beginning at 8 p.m. We shall see what we shall see.
Who do y'all like?
And, you know, it's one of those things that, what is the Heisman supposed to be?
Yeah.
Is it to the best player or the player who's most valuable to his team? Because I think if you're going on most valuable to his team, Miami doesn't have a season. Miami's 7-5 without their quarterback, without that quarterback.
Yeah, right.
But if you want to talk about the best player, best dynamic player, I think you're looking at the running back who nobody can stop for Boise State.
Yeah. Well, I like the guy from Colorado. I mean he's dynamic.
I do too.
He plays.
He does it all.
I mean he is top quality as a receiver and as a defensive back.
Yep.
Makes big plays continuously throughout the season. I mean you don't run into those type of players very often.
Not very often.
No, you don't. And the two-way players in this day and age are just, you're not going to see more than
them. You don't see him.
You just don't see him anymore.
And, but
right.
He's not just a two-way player. I mean, he's elite on both sides of the ball.
Sure he is.
And you just don't run into that at all.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, as I reported a few weeks back, the NFL is expected to play up to 8 regular season international games for the 2025 season. And
there's the Daily Times fan.
There's
Just
the
saying,
Daily
the
Times.
Daily
There
Times
we
fan is
go.
going by.
Daily Times. He's
Totally to
throwing
interrupt you.
candy
You're
without
doing
looking.
headlines. It seemed an appropriate place to
It was a good.
interject.
That's a good one. One is slated to be in Ireland for the first time. Croke Park, referred to by locals as the Croker.
The Croakers.
The Croker, and located in Dublin, would host the game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and a yet-to-be-named opponent. The game is tentatively scheduled to be played in September. So, international games becoming more and more popular and more frequent.
And, you know, it's just taking the NFL way too long to figure this out. That
Oh, yeah.
if you wanted to get a good, solid market in the EU, you should have started in Ireland, because there
That's
is
for
no
sure.
place that is more sports crazy in the Northern Hemisphere and American sport crazy than the Ireland is.
You are exactly right.
And when you watch those games, I mean, the fans are. I mean, it's like watching the enthusiasm at a soccer game. I mean, the crowds are standing and screaming the entire game and going nuts. I mean, they ought to just put a franchise out there, and it takes. It's probably no difference from a West Coast team going to an East Coast team game.
We could give them the Jets.
Yeah, and the Jets probably need to go.
Please take them. Oh goodness.
The Irish Jets.
Yeah. The croakers. They could be the croakers because they croak. No, just teasing. The NCAA coaching carousel has begun to pick up speed, and arguably, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail here in a little while, Marcus, but arguably the two hires gaining the most attention at this point are ones made by UNC, North Carolina, and University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Bill Belichick, legendary New England Patriots coach, is joining the college football coaching ranks for the first time at North Carolina, and former Florida and Mississippi State coach Dan Mullen will be traveling west to coach at UNLV, replacing Barry Odom, who bolted for Purdue in the Big Ten. What are your thoughts?
Power 4 is where you got to be if you want to be a coach now. If you want to get back into it, you take the Lane Kiffin route and go to the next 5 and coach there for a couple of years to get back into the Power 4.
Yep.
Yeah, and let me say, in North Carolina, I love Belichick, but it's a whole different game being a college coach.
It is.
It's he doesn't have the patience to do that. I mean,
well, we'll see.
And there's a lot of strings attached. The big string that bothers me more is that when he decides that to step away, his son is now going to be named as the head coach in North Carolina.
Coach in waiting.
Yeah, and the only reason why he's where he's at is because of the last name. I mean, he didn't play college football, played lacrosse. He was a defense coordinator at University of Washington. This past year, they were 6-6. Defense was in the bottom half of the conference, and you're telling me that he's going to be the future head coach in North Carolina, and I got problems and issues with that.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
That's true. We will. Astros All-Star third baseman Alex Bregman is reportedly on the move. Houston and Bregman have come to loggerheads on contract negotiations, with the Astros offering him a 6-year, $156 million contract, but he is seeking $200 million plus for that same time period. The Cubs acquired All-Star right fielder Kyle Tucker from Houston yesterday and are expected to make a bid for Bregman as well.
I was surprised by that move. Tucker getting the Cubs already have an outfield situation, making everybody happy. Now you've added another All-Star out there, and you've traded away one of your best infield prospects to do it. I would have much rather seen a different move there. I can understand it getting some help elsewhere in your lineup, but in an already crowded outfield, unless you're planning to make some deals that we didn't think they were willing to make, it seems like you're stacking the wrong part of the lineup now.
I agree. Well, the baseball that was dropped for an error by Aaron Judge in Game 5 of the World Series has been sold at auction
really?
For $43,510.
For the ball?
For the ball itself that he dropped for an error. Judge's boot initiated a Yankee crash that turned a 5-0 New York lead into an eventual 7-6 loss and a World Series championship for the L.A. Dodgers.
How do they know that that's the ball? I mean, what do? He saved?
Well, there is an authentication process that they have to go through to be able to sell something like that for what they claim it is.
I mean, he dropped the ball. What did he do? Hey, I dropped the ball. Let me throw it in the stands.
That's a good question. I don't know. But they do have to go through an authentication process.
Okay.
Yeah, 43,510. 32-year-old Odell Beckham Jr. has been granted his unconditional release from the Miami Dolphins, the team announced yesterday. Once Beckham clears waivers, he becomes a free agent and would be able to sign with any team. He's just 32 years old. He's been around forever, though.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
grief.
in some sports, that's ancient.
It is. You're right. Gymnastics especially, huh? The U.S. national women's soccer team has had an up-and-down year, but they finished the year in a comfortable and familiar spot, number 1 in the FIFA World Rankings. The U.S. NWT spent 5 months of this year out of the top 3, which is very unusual for the 4-time World Cup champs. They only regained the number 1 spot after winning gold at the Paris Olympics. Rounding out the top 5 in the final rankings were Spain at number 2, Germany at number 3, and numbers 4 and 5 were England and Sweden. But that's a familiar place for the American team to be.
You're not going to stay on top of the rankings all the time,
No,
and who wants them to be?
Exactly.
You need some movement, and you're shifting players because you're like we just said, you're old at a very early age in soccer, and that team development is something that Team USA is progressing with.
Yeah.
Where
You're right.
you're seeing some of those top players who are in their early 20s now, and you had some
The
shifting.
older guys are.
You saw some
stepping
fan
away.
favorites that have shifted off, and that will always cause some bumps. But as long
being
as,
in that transition period and still being ranked
but as long
number
as
1,
Team
that's-
USA comes back to win a gold and be in contention at the World Cup in the Final Four, I think fans will be happy.
I think so, too. Detroit Lions have revoked the season tickets of a fan who was allegedly involved in an on-field verbal altercation with Packers head coach Matt LaFleur before last week's Thursday night football game.
What?
The incident, part of which was caught on camera, occurred when the fan, ID'd as Fahad Yusuf, got, quote, into the face, end of quote, of LaFleur on the field. Yusuf was helping to secure a giant United States flag at the playing of the national anthem.
So he
when it
was
happened.
out there during pregame.
Yeah.
So this happened during pregame.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That-
And they've revoked his tickets. I mean, he has no more season tickets. They're gone.
That was kind of strange.
Yeah. You think so? On this day in sports, December 14th, 1901, the first table tennis tournament was held at London's Royal Aquarium. Ping pong hit the spotlight.
There you go.
Yeah. 1938, Major League Baseball agrees on the use of a standard ball. You know who the commish was at that time? The first one, the first commish. Kennesaw Mountain
Kennesaw.
Landis. Yep. 1947, the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, affectionately abbreviated as NASCAR. Was founded in Daytona Beach, Florida, 1947. On the beach. They used
On
to
the
race
beach.
on the
between
beach.
the waves.
That's it.
I remember seeing races that they used to. Those races used to be on the beach.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they
I mean,
raced on the beach.
Yeah,
That's where it started.
that's exactly right.
Well,
Okay, Donnie, I'm going to interrupt for just a second.
okay, go ahead.
Petrie Arbor's going by, so that's number 60 in the lineup. So we are at the halfway point of the parade at this point.
Halfway, okay.
So
I'm waiting
for
my-
those of you who are watching, that we're getting to that point where we might see some Christmas favorites appearing rather shortly.
I'd say you're right. There's a boat.
That I believe that is. No, I was going to say that was Merry Christmas, but no, it's. I believe they're still coming because we have the City of Alcoa Board of Commissioners driving by right now
Looking
In
for
a snowplow.
in a snowplow.
one soccer truck.
You got it. 1953, the Brooklyn Dodgers signed pitcher Sandy Koufax.
Really?
Yes,
I
tell
didn't
you
realize
what,
that was a
1953.
December signing.
it sure was.
I tell you what, I got a bunch of Sandy Koufax baseball cards.
Good.
I mean, he was good.
1960, the Washington Senators joined the American League. Remember the Senators?
Senators, yep.
I saw them play once.
They
Up in
eventually
Washington.
became the Texas Rangers.
Rangers, yeah,
Yep.
sure did. 1968, Bobby Orr scores his first hat trick versus the Chicago Blackhawks.
Man, he was
Bobby
a player.
Orr. Man, he could play,
Gosh.
couldn't he? He could
Yeah,
play
absolutely.
the game. 1988, moving forward 20 years, a bid of $1.1 billion by the CBS network got them the winning of the exclusive rights to Major League Baseball from 1990 to 1994. $1.1 billion they paid to cover Major League games.
And
No
that's-
pocket change.
That's cheap now.
That sure is. Sure is. 2019, LSU quarterback Joe Burrow wins the Heisman Trophy. Birthdays. Birthdays. 1939, Ernie Davis, born on this day, College Football Hall of Famer, running back at Syracuse,
Yep.
first African American to win the Heisman Trophy.
He followed Jim Brown
Yep.
as a running back. Yep.
Yep. He won it in 1961, born in New Salem, Pennsylvania, died in 1963.
Yeah.
Ernie Davis, he was a good one. 1946, Stan Smith, happy birthday. Tennis player, U.S. Open, 1971, Wimbledon, 1972. He's 77 years old today, born in Pasadena, California. 1954, you'll know this name if you're a race fan, Alan Kulwicki,
Yep.
born on this day, auto racer and owner, Winston Cup Drivers and Owners Champion in 1992, born in Greenfield, Wisconsin,
Oh, really?
not Indiana.
Not the old Greenfield. Okay.
No, not the Indiana Greenfield, but the Greenfield, Wisconsin. Died in 1993, so he died young.
Yeah.
Died young.
Didn't-
Goodness.
I never realized that, though.
1979 birthday is Kyle Shanahan, NFL coach, San Francisco 49ers, 2017 to 2020, born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. 1997, DK Metcalf, great football player.
Yeah.
His real name was DeKalen Zacharias, but he changed it to DK Metcalf.
Good call.
Yep, good call. Wide receiver for the Seahawks, born in Oxford, Mississippi. Deaths, 1920, Notre Dame footballer George Gipp,
The Gipper.
otherwise known as the Gipper. Yep,
Ronald Reagan played him in that Notre Dame movie.
that's right. He died at 25 years old of throat infection and pneumonia. So died very young. 1980, Elston Howard, catcher, 12-time All-Star, 6-time World Series player, American League MVP 1963, first African American on the New York Yankees team.
Yeah. And what a player he was.
Elston
and
Howard.
And a class
Great.
person.
Sure
Everything,
was.
Yeah.
Yep, died of myocarditis at 51, so he died young
Yeah.
too. 1985 death on this day, Roger Maris, Major League Baseball right fielder, 1957 and 1968, 7-time All-Star, 61 homers in 1961.
If you ever want to watch a good movie, watch that movie 61.
Yep, 61 is a good film.
Just watched it the other night and all that. What a great movie that was.
Yep, played for the Yankees and 3 other teams, died of cancer at 51 years of age.
Yeah.
23, Mike, if you're listening, George McGinnis, Basketball Hall of Fame power forward. He was the ABA MVP in 1975, 3-time ABA All-Star, played for the Indiana Pacers, 3-time NBA All-Star for the Philadelphia 76ers, and died following a heart attack at 73 years of age. Well, that's all for this week's Sports Headlines, brought to you, as always, by Fast Signs.
Good job.
I'm Donnie Moore. Back to you, Marcus.
Well, it's time for the Boyd Sports Spotlight. And looking out, the parade is still coming by. I believe we're into the 70s now on the entries, and we've got about 30 or 40 more to go because Bowhunter's Pro Shop has now made it here. Donnie, how much time are you going to give me to rant here?
Well, you've got, Marcus, let's see, you've got until.
Can I take about 10 minutes to rant, or do I only got
You've
5?
got
Go
till
for it.
11.
Yeah, we got
Well,
15 minutes.
We've got. Yeah, we'll just skip the last segment.
No, we're not going to skip it because I'm going to put y'all on the hot spot. I'm just going to ask a couple.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask a couple
ahead.
Belichick questions here.
Go ahead.
We talked. Donnie mentioned it, but I wanted to put out some numbers there. Belichick is 72 years old.
Yeah.
Going to Carolina. It's a 5-year, $50 million deal, basically $10 million a year to coach Carolina. Now, the guy's got 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 World Championship rings, a 24-year-old girlfriend, and he's going to be a first-time head coach in college.
Yeah. Go
Now,
for it.
by comparison, the Patriots were paying him $25 million a year in his last season there.
Okay.
So he's taking a $15 million pay cut to coach at Carolina. So, Tony, you have concerns about some of the ties that he and the staff and what may be going forward. But I'm going to ask you, what's the worst job at UNC right now? To be Bill Belichick's NCAA compliance officer or to be his athletic director?
Yeah, the athletic.
I wouldn't want to be either one.
Yeah, the athletic director. I mean, he's taking the back seat to this. I mean, it's he's not going to step in at all with what Belichick's doing. First of all, Belichick doesn't know the NCAA rules, the ones that are still remaining anyway, and it's a wholly different thing dealing with the college kids and everything that it's involved in. And I think a lot about him as an NFL coach. I just don't think this is a good hire, and especially knowing the fact that when he decides to step down, they're supposed to hand the head coaching job to his son. I just don't like the whole deal, to tell you the truth.
Well, sooner or later, Belichick is going to Belichick.
Right. And everyone's saying he's setting this thing up so that his son becomes the next head coach over there.
Yeah.
And I just don't like
Well,
the situation.
and one thing you've got to think about is from the perspective of media.
Yeah.
An NFL postgame is very different from the way a college postgame is handled.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Bill can walk away from a microphone whenever he wants
At the NFL.
at the NFL level. That's not necessarily true in college because your fan base doesn't go away and come back on the next Sunday. They are there every day on morning radio when you do things like that.
Sure,
That's right.
Sure.
But, Donnie, if you're a Tar Heels fan, are you happy right now or are you shaking your head?
Well, I think the average Tar Heel fan is going to be
Plays basketball.
Is going to be elated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're going to be happy.
All right.
They are because they're getting a legend.
Yeah.
Although him transitioning to the college game, I'm like you, Tony. I'm very dubious.
Yeah,
of that.
I haven't talked to very many current college coaches thinking this is a good move. But somehow they're going to see if they can make it work in North Carolina. That they feel like the name Belichick's going to oversee basketball at North Carolina, and then there's a different tension now to the football program. I just think that it's a whole different deal dealing with the college kids, and that's a 12-month cycle when you're recruiting college kids. Belichick never really recruited, at the NFL. A lot of that stuff is
not ever.
They've got general managers and people in the front office that does all the contract stuff and all that. He just has to worry about showing up and practicing.
That's true.
And then, most importantly, he had a pretty good quarterback during those glory years. And once he left, that ended his Super Bowl run. And
And I'll say this: I was one of those who put a lot of it on Brady.
Yeah.
Because of what happened to the Patriots after he left. And there was he did. Don't get me wrong. He did contribute in a significant way.
Yeah, he
but
did.
Seeing the next quarterback that came to start for the Patriots.
Who was that again?
Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And the way he played, I put a lot of that on the coaching staff for the way he played. I didn't realize he could play a lot worse. And seeing what he's done since he left the Patriots,
it's a lot worse.
I'm going to tell you, I'm more impressed now with Belichick's coaching ability of a quarterback than I ever was with what he did with Tom Brady.
Yeah. Well, again, you're not hearing me about his coaching ability. All right.
Oh, no, you never besmirched that.
Yeah, no,
at
I
all.
didn't say anything about his coaching ability. I'm saying him going in a whole different environment to the college game and the type of kids that he's going to be now recruiting and what goes on with all that. He better have a great support staff.
But what if he wins it? And that's the other thing, because right now we're thinking of, he can't adapt.
Yeah.
But what if he does?
Then that's
if you're the NCAA, are you not kind of secretly terrified? This guy comes in and takes what is a bad situation right now with NIL and college football and transfer portal and turns it into a true shark fest of a pure business model, and what little control you have erodes even faster.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be out there.
Because we're thinking about what if he doesn't do well. What if he does well? What if he wins and rewrites the rule book in the process?
Then I'm going to take back everything I just said.
I mean,
I just think that
he's just got a short window to do it in because, like I said, he is 72 years old.
72 years old.
True.
I mean, and most people I'm talking to say he's doing this for the main reason of making sure his son gets set up in a couple of years. Chances are he's only going to be there for a couple of years, then turn it on over.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, it's time for a break, and when we return, it's the Shelter Insurance Bold Predictions. You're listening to the Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Marcus Fitzsimmons filling in for Mike Edwards. And it's time for this week's Shelter Insurance Bold Predictions as we're getting to the end of the Maryville Alcoa Christmas Parade. I believe we saw Roller Arena Party Zone come along during the break, which means we're in the final 10 floats. But, guys, we've got a couple minutes here to finish out. I'm going to circle back to the CFP and how these brackets have worked out. The bold prediction for you both: what team deserved to be in that did not make it in? Which team got left out that deserved to be there?
Talk about the finals.
In the bracket.
Oh yeah. To me, it's Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah, I think they deserve to be in there, and I think a lot of people are upset that they're not. But and we discussed it earlier, where now is strength of schedule the most important thing, or is it just how many wins you get? And you got differences in that.
Donnie, what about for you?
You know, I have to say Bama as well.
Yeah.
They're if you go on nothing but tradition, you know, that Alabama's just about always in the playoffs. So.
And I knew this would be happening because remember last year, the big controversy was between the number 4 or 5 teams. All right, now we've expanded to 14 or 16 teams, and now there's all these other different factions that are coming to place in the final selections and all that. So
yeah, well, we're at 12 now,
at 12,
Tony,
12.
but we should be at 16 at least.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm going my 2 cents. I will be the dark horse and say I would have liked to have seen there be a method for South Carolina to have been included.
Oh, they played well.
above.
They were playing great football.
I think there needs to be some kind of method for that, for what could be arguably the hottest team.
Correct.
And who beat the week before
Beat
Clemson,
sure.
who is an automatic now.
Yeah.
That's true.
And they played well. It started slow in the season, but the last 7-8 games of the season, they played extremely well. Absolutely.
They did indeed.
And on the reverse side of that, which of the teams that got in do you think should not have been included? If you could remove automatics, of the 12 teams, who shouldn't be playing?
I think SMU.
SMU.
That's a good question. Maybe SMU, maybe Clemson.
So the ACC is the weak
The
weak
ACC
sister.
is the weak sister,
Yeah, I mean,
aside from Miami.
when Clemson beat SMU, it changed the dynamics and all that.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and that's right. The week before, Miami losing to Syracuse started
Started the dominoes to fall.
Yeah,
didn't it?
exactly right.
And
Exactly.
I'm going to irritate the regular host who I'm subbing in for.
Uh-oh.
But to me,
You can't say anything right now.
Notre Dame does not belong in. If they want to get into this thing, join a conference and man up. If Army can join a conference, if Navy can join a conference, it's about time Notre Dame made a choice. If they want to remain independent, that's fine. You're not going to be involved in the playoffs. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I can go along with that too.
Because when you get to pick your own schedule and don't have to play the rigors year in, year out, and you can argue that they schedule up or schedule down however you want to, you're not playing that. You're not playing it in the standings and playing for position. You're not going through what everybody else is going
what's
through.
Notre Dame's big regular season win? I mean, nothing comes to mind right off.
It wasn't Northern Illinois, I can tell you that much.
Northern Illinois beat some. They played USC, and USC is not the USC of old, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I know we got to get out, Donnie, but last question. Who's your Cinderella in this 12-team bracket?
My Cinderella. I would have to say Tennessee.
Tennessee is Cinderella. Tony, you think Tennessee's the one with the glass slipper here?
You know what?
Because nobody expects Tennessee to win.
Yeah, I'll go with Tennessee as well. I mean, to me, that's I tell you what, they go up there and they beat Ohio State at their place. I mean, they got a lot of magic. I mean, they played.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they're playing well as a team, and my call is Tennessee.
All right.
What do you think? What's yours?
Mine is Boise State.
Well,
I'm going to
that's
go
a
with
good one,
Boise
too.
State.
That's
They should do not technically a Cinderella because they got a bye, but I was a Boise State fan back when they won that Oklahoma game, and I would love to see them have that kind of magic again.
Yeah. I tell you what, that's not a bad call right there.
But Santa Claus is quickly approaching, and Donnie, I think it's time to blow the whistle to welcome him and get us out of here.
Well, that's a good thing. So because we'll have to wait a little while for the crowd to clear out anyway. We'll go ahead and have lunch, won't we?
Yeah, well, more than likely.
All right, here we
Let's have
go.
a good one.
And that's the whistle. And that will do it for today's edition of the Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our hosts, the Bluetick Tavern, and all of our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Mike Edwards, Tony Iruli, this is Marcus Fitzsimmons. Until next Saturday, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the GoTeez Sports Page. The best in local sports.